Yo, what is going on? What is going on, my people? This is Nickodemus, the king of indies himself, and welcome to Trophy Life Podcast Episode 3, your premier podcast for all things PlayStation, ladies and gentlemen. And we are here back again, once again, to provide you some greatness. There's been a lot of greatness going on, a lot of stuff, a lot of games, and more games. So we're going to really dive deep into a lot of that in this episode. But before we move on any further, I want to reintroduce the other host of this show. Let's roll with my man, Chris. Tell everybody what's up, man. What's going on with you? Chris is not here. Chris has been having technical difficulties. Kev, go ahead and tell people what's up, what's been going on with you.
Hey everyone, hope you're doing well. Great to be back on the next episode here, and I hope everybody's still enjoying the GIFs in the Twitter feed. I literally spend like half an hour to an hour at work like sifting through GIFs.
Really?
It's pretty fun. Like there are times where like today I did spend like a good like 15-20 minutes like, going through trying to find one.
Wow, but that is freaking dedication.
I just think they're hilarious. So, and it beats talking about affordable healthcare stuff.
Yeah, word. Do you play your speaking of work, do you play your Switch at work? Or your office? Wish. Yeah, your office won't allow that, right? Because you're in healthcare.
No,
if you're
probably would be fired.
Yeah, if you're anything like me, that's not gonna happen. Like people I see on Twitter, they be talking about, oh man, I'm playing my Switch at work. And I'm like, what the freak do you do for a living? Like, I would literally be fired. In fact, I'm in management and I would fire your ass immediately if I saw that at the desk. Playing the Switch at work. Yeah, you're gonna be playing Switch at home, fam. That's funny. Yo, Chris, you there yet, bro? We're going to give Chris a minute, everybody. He's been having like technical issues. I don't know what it is. He's over there in the UK and they got this UK weird internet. I don't know what's going on, but he's trying to get his mic together right quick. But all right, so let's move on, because this is a gaming podcast. So obviously, you know what I'm saying, we are definitely into video games. We play games throughout the week. So Kev, what games you been playing this week, my man?
Well, I know we're going to talk about it later, so I'm just going to be brief. I've been, I got the Nintendo Switch last Friday, and I've been playing Zelda. Don't worry, Nintendo might copyright us. Have you been hearing that? Like, people have been using the Nintendo Switch Snap in their videos, and Nintendo has been copywriting.
No way. No, don't tell me that. Please don't tell me that. See, Nintendo be on this BS, man. I don't get them sometimes. Like, I have a video on my channel where I use that snap sound throughout the video. So I hope they don't flag my crap. Like,
well, yeah, let's hope not. But yeah, apparently they've been doing that. So,
that is ridiculous.
Word to the wise out there.
Freaking Nintendo. Whatever, man. Okay. Interesting.
Still, I don't understand, but you know,
backwards thinking.
That's how they want to do things.
Non-consumer friendly, non-content creator friendly.
I do have a quick shout out. Want to give a shout out to Nick for hitting 500 subscribers on his YouTube channel.
What? Man, this is unexpected. Yo, I appreciate that, man. I do. I really do, man. I've been working hard with the YouTube thing lately, so it's starting to, you know, pay off. At first, I was taking it, you know, just as, you know, whatever, but it's actually, you know, paying off. So, yeah, I'm feeling that. What's good, everybody in the chat, man? Before we move on, man, what's good, Alan? What's good, my man AJJ? Oh, what's good, Anchor? What's happening? Anchorman B is in the house as well. So, man, what's good, y'all? Thanks for joining. So, yeah, as far as me, is that all you've been playing this week?
Yeah, for the most part, I've been testing out different ways for to play the Switch and all that stuff, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, mainly it's been Zelda.
Okay, cool. Well, man, let me tell you guys something. I've been busy this week. I've been playing, of course, you know, Horizon. You know what I'm saying? We'll give our, you know, final final thoughts and impressions on that a little later in the show, now that we got our hands really in it. And then I've been playing The Witcher 3, still on that. I'm grinding like every weekend, trying to, you know, beat that game. I still haven't even touched the DLC, the expansions, nothing that. So I'm just trying to get through the main game. Still enjoying it, but it's a big game. Like I'm like 70 hours in, and they tell me I still got like 10 to go. So whatever. And and then I've been playing NieR. I just started playing NieR. I downloaded that thing last night, and I just started playing that as well. And I'll let you guys know what I think about that a little later in the show as well. So it's been a very, very busy week for me in gaming. Not complaining, just an amazing week. A lot of great games out. Chris, you got that UK internet working, man?
Have I paid my bills?
Did you pay? Did you call them and pay them, sir?
Oh, I have paid my bills. I'm going to put some money in the meter, and I'm working. Oh, awesome.
What you been playing, dude?
Horizon Zero Dawn. Been playing a lot of that. And then also I've been playing a little bit of FIFA, and I've also been playing Disc Jam today, which is the free game on PS Plus. Very, very kind of interesting kind of tennis indie game. Well, it's kind of tennis. It's kind of throwing frisbee at each other, but it's a very interesting little game, which is only been developed by 2 people. So credit to those guys, because
Nice.
It's pretty good fun, and the online's a good laugh as well. Had some good matches with a few people earlier.
Okay. I like that. That's what's up. So today's show, everybody, look, we this is a PlayStation podcast, but we are going to be talking about Nintendo, you know what I'm saying, quite a bit throughout the show, because that is the hotness right now. Whether you guys, you know, Chris, I think you got some feedback. I think that's you. Again.
Ah, me again.
Yeah, just mute it. Just mute it until you get it. Yeah, just come back in and out. But yeah, so Nintendo's the hotness right now, whether you guys, you know, like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, it is definitely the hotness. And, you know, we'll talk about how, you know, Nintendo relates to PlayStation and things like that, because this is just not, you know, 100%, you know, PlayStation only podcast. We do talk about, you know, whatever is relevant in the gaming community as a whole as well. So you guys can be expecting that this show. So before we move on, we want to talk about the games that actually have released this week. On PlayStation and other platforms as well, but you know we're just, you know, going to talk about the games that we know for sure have been released on PlayStation. It's actually been a pretty big week, honestly, this week. So how many times can I say week? This week, in the week, these games of the week. These games are weak, but so first, man, big one has dropped, actually, a couple big ones. And honestly, there's really no time for all these games. The first one that we see on this list is Wildlands. So Wildlands did in fact drop today officially. Did either of you, Kev, did you pick up Wildlands, thinking about picking it up or anything like that?
No, I didn't pick it up. I don't think I'm going to. I didn't necessarily enjoy the beta.
Oh, you actually did get to try it?
Yeah, I was in the close and open beta for Wildlands, but it is one of those games where you do need to have well, at least I think you need to have a group of friends that you consistently play with. Otherwise, it's going to get very boring very quickly.
So you ain't got no friends, bro, to play with? That's what you're telling me? You got no friends to jump on there with you?
Yeah, no friends, always working.
Oh, that's a
shame, man.
That's a sad life.
Why do you think I'm doing the podcast?
Wow. Yeah, understandable.
Cool for arms. Cool for friends.
We gamers tend to be social rejects, so it's understandable. Okay, yeah, I didn't even get to try that thing though. I just had no time to even try it.
Like, it plays well and it's a solid game. I just, again, for me, it's not. I'm really into all of the other like amazing titles coming out, I think Wildlands may suffer from the fact that it's going to get swallowed up by everything else that's come out in the last 4 weeks.
I agree.
After it, like it's just going to be swallowed whole.
It is. There's so much attention on Nintendo and, you know, just the PS4 exclusives right now. Yeah, I agree. Many people ain't really gonna be playing this, and if they do, they're only gonna play it for a couple weeks to a month, which seems to be the trend when it comes to multiplayer anyway. So,
well, and I think Ubisoft will obviously they'll support it. I wonder if it will be one of those games where people pick it up during the summer if there's a drought in games.
Yeah,
it's just it was smart to try to release it during this time. I just don't think they anticipated the amount of crazy good titles coming out this time. That's traditionally not the case.
Exactly. And I mean, no sense in pushing it back either, because you're going to have great titles come out spring, summer, and definitely end of the year. So yeah, it was now or never, really. I mean, it'll succeed, but yeah, I agree. It's not going to do what it probably could do otherwise. So, what else we got? We got a couple of indie games on the list. We have games on this list where I can't even pronounce its long ass sentences. Atelier Ferris, The Alchemist, and The Mysterious Journey is on PS4, PS Vita as well for you guys this week.
You did well. You did well with that.
I did. Thank you. Because I didn't know what the hell I was saying.
You need the affirmation.
I didn't know what the hell I was saying. A game called Clicker Heroes. I looked at the trailer for this. This looks like total garbage. Dude, you're basically button mashing. That's what this game is all about. You are button mashing to dig up treasure. You're button mashing to kill bosses. It's just constant button mashing. Like, I wouldn't be able to deal with a game like this. Like, my thumbs hurt after a couple hours of playing a game. So I can only imagine button mashing the whole game. We got PSVR, a PSVR game. Another one. It's a rare sighting, but we got another PSVR game called Darknet. Okay. And let's see what else they got. They got Disc Jam, which is one of the PS Plus games. We'll talk about that later as well. And a couple other little indie games. And of course, NieR Automata dropped this week as well. So got quite a few games as usual. We actually got some decent ones this week mixed in with some screwy looking ones. Y'all like my picture?
And a lovely picture of yourself.
I'm a freaking king out here, dude. Oh man. All right, so
are you embarrassed, Nick? You should be.
Why?
Why have you got a picture of yourself, your background, man?
Because I love myself. Duh.
Okay,
I mean,
said.
That's the obvious. That's the obvious answer. Listen here, I love myself. I love the way I look. You know what I'm saying? And I have no problem expressing that. Okay, whatsoever.
Okay, dude.
I'm starting with the man in the mirror. All right. Anyway, let's move on.
Make that change, man. Make that change.
Let's move on. So I'm gonna need my man Chris to give us a PSVR update, because we know there are PSVR gamers out there. You know what I'm saying? So I need my man Chris to tell us what games they got coming. What is going on with VR, man? And Chris is gone.
Am I back? There I am. What is going on with VR at the moment? Well, I mean, the games that are coming very small. They're coming little games at little chunks of games, and they're kind of coming under the radar, which is a real shame. They need to try and promote these games a bit more. For me, I mean, the one game that I picked up very recently was a game called Lethal VR, which kind of shows the potential of what they can do with VR and kind of making it like it's like a shooting range game. And it's just screaming out for me for wanting a virtual cop kind of VR game. It needs to happen with that. This game's really clever. It kind of uses a 360 on you. So you rather than just like the range just in front of you, it's got it all around you. So you like look up above, you look up to the moon almost, if you know what I mean. And then you look like down to your side, and then you look to your left, to your right, like that. You look all the way behind you as well, and it tracks it pretty well, pretty decently. So it's a cool game, and it just shows like a slight bit of potential of what they could do with it. And like I said, I am gagging for a virtual cop game. That would be the best.
Okay. So that, I mean, that sounds pretty good. So you think you know, VR games are really gonna start popping this next coming months?
It's
I mean,
tough.
they're kind of like here and there right now.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're going to be. I think it's going to be quite a niche crowd with it, which I think is a shame, because I think it's a fantastic bit of kit. I mean, the games that I would recommend anyone to get if they're thinking about getting it are the obvious ones that everyone else has pretty much recommended, but that's because they're the best, which is Batman VR, especially if you enjoyed the Arkham Knight game as well, minus the racing and the Batmobile bit, because it's a nice little, it's not a sequel to it at all, it's just a little follow-up, and I would say that you'd have to play the Arkham Knight game to kind of appreciate it more.
Yeah.
The other one, which is the big one that people have been seeing, is PSVR Worlds. There are two that you just need to skip, which is like the Space Odyssey game and the Luge game. If they make, you know, if anything's going to make you feel sick, it's that. The other one, the other part of VR Worlds is the London Heist, which is the gangster shooting game, which a lot of people have seen when you're doing the Uzi on the freeway.
I played that. I actually did play that. That was pretty impressive.
Do you like that one? It's kind of like a Guy Ritchie movie, isn't it? It's pretty decent.
I would love to have seen it actually be a full game, but yeah, that was pretty dope.
Yeah, as an experience, it's pretty good. And then Ocean Descent, which is the one where you see the coral reef, or you see like a shark attack, which is a great one for people that don't particularly game. So like if you're showing like your mum or somebody like that, then that's a real good, it's a good chance for them to experience PSVR. And then also Danger Ball, which is kind of like Pong, but you're in the game. So it's almost kind of like using your head, like a head tennis kind of game, which is good fun. And then the final one is Job Simulator.
Oh God, yeah, I heard about that one.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's basically, it's set long into the future. And imagine if you asked your AI robot, what are jobs like in the 21st century? And that's what it does. And the sense of humor is fantastic with the game as well. For example, one of the scenarios is that you work in a restaurant, and a kind of computer comes in and asks if you can help him set up an engagement with his wife. So he gives you this ring, and then he says to you, "Can you burn me a CD?" So he gives you a CD, and you put it in the toaster. You put the toaster down, and then the CD pops out, and it's all kind of smoking and on fire almost. And on it is written love songs in like red marker pen. So it's, you know, and then you put that on for them. So it's kind of got a nice little fun sense of humor to it, and a very, very good fun game for the family, I would say, more than anything else. It's a good one for people to have a go at. And the art style is fantastic, and it suits VR perfectly.
Yeah, I heard good things about that one. So I mean, they do got stuff out there. They definitely do. Just waiting to see them, you know, deliver, you know, that killer app that's going to make, you know, the hardcore and the casuals really get into it more. I do want to see it succeed. You know, so we'll see. We'll definitely have you keep us updated, because right now we don't want nothing to do with VR. You heard me? But somebody does.
Hang on a minute. You told me the other week that you had a go at VR around a friend's house, and you quite enjoyed it.
I did. I enjoyed it. I mean, it was cool. It's cool to get around with your friends or whatever and play it, whatever like that. It's cool. So I don't totally hate it. You know, so it's all good.
I think that's the key. I think if you can play it at a friend's house, I think it's really good. If you go into a shop and play it, it's not cool. You kind of feel like rushed, and you don't feel that comfortable. I think when you've got kind of a comfortable environment around you, I think you can enjoy it a lot more.
Okay.
So find a friend who's got it, or come over to the UK and you can play mine.
Oh yeah, that's so easy.
That's like one of those kind of weird Facebook invites. So I'm just gonna have a whole load of people rocking up on my doorstep. I wish, wanting to play on my PlayStation VR.
So let's move into the realm of fantasy right now, ladies and gentlemen. So we heard a rumor just recently that apparently some analysts figures that PS5 is coming in 2019. So I checked out this article and checked out what the analyst was saying or whatever like that. But my man Chris actually made a weird, crazy prediction last podcast, and we gave him hell for it because it's just out the box. What was your prediction again about PS5, bro?
My prediction was that they would announce it at E3 to come out in 2019, the holiday 2019. Do you know what? It made me laugh when I saw it kind of popped up because I saw the guys on the Multiverse last night. They mentioned it, and I did kind of have a big grin from ear to ear, sort of thing like that. But I think 2018 is too soon.
Yeah. I think this guy is you that wrote this article or something. Because there can't be two crazy people in the world that crazy, man. He said the second half of 2018 that he feels like it's going to be released. So what was the reason why this analyst thinks it should be released? Did you guys read the article? Like, why does he think this is going to happen?
Have you read it, Kev?
I haven't seen it thoroughly. I'm scanning it now.
I think he was looking at like the projections of like the cycle of the life of the console and generally something to do with marketing. It was all kind of stuff that was kind of over my head slightly. I think he basically took a wild guess on equations.
Looks like that it's based off of like analyst predictions. I don't even want to say like suggestions or anything like that. Like it just looks like it's based off of certain trends and how predict the market is going to react and how Sony will react to the market. Very interesting.
They also stating that they expected to launch with 10 T-flops. What would make them even like guess the power of it? Like, I mean, where would they get that from? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand where this is coming from. I mean, I do understand from like the marketing side and like the projected revenue side of things that they're anticipating that Sony may make a move like this, but what the T-flop thing just seems like they're guessing / hoping or whatever. Like, I don't understand how that even factors into this. But I mean, honestly, I don't. Go ahead before I say what I need to say about this.
I agree with you. It kind of seems like they're pulling the number out of thin air. My suspicion is that it seems as though they're expecting that 10 teraflop or equivalent will be not necessarily standard, but it'll be in the marketplace via the PC market, and I guess that's to be comparable. I guess think that's what the expectation is.
I guess they're probably expecting it to be cheaper as well.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it feels like they're pulling the number kind of willy-nilly at that point.
Bit like I did last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, like kind of like you did. I think this is kind of jumping the gun a little bit. Honestly, I think that, like I said 2 weeks ago, I think that the PS4, they still got a lot more to do with this system. I think they still got a lot of plans with this system, and I don't see a reason why they would upgrade by 2018. 2019, 2020, like someone said in the chat, 7 years in a console cycle, 5-7 years, 2020. I just think this is a very different console cycle. Like I stated before, we got these mid-generation, real mid-generation upgrades. and everything like that. I just think this is very different. I think they have different plans. I think they're going to expand this one possibly as long as the last gen. But hopefully not too much to a point where it was like last gen where the hardware was just overly old. But I think it's going to last longer than 2018. 2018 is next year, fam. Like, nah, it's not happening next year. I don't know where this analyst is, getting this theory from, or makes him think it's going to be 2018, but it's not. I could see 2019, 2020, possibly, but
yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I don't. 2018 is way too early.
Nah, we still got so much heat. We got so much steam. Nah.
Yeah, had the Pro not come out, then I would have been like, okay.
Yeah.
Fine, 2018 sounds reasonable. But especially with the introduction of the Pro, it just doesn't make any sense. Why would you send a product out to be on the market for a year and a half, 2 years? Say, oh, never mind, console refresh. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, I agree. I think 2020 is a more realistic. Maybe they'll, have an event in 2019 to say, hey, this is the product. Or maybe it's even early 2020 and the release holiday 2020.
Yeah. Yeah, what you gonna say, Chris?
I was just going to say that I think that the last generation was it was longer than it should have been. I think that was down to the financial crisis.
Yeah.
So I think, and it's kind of tough because I know what you're saying about a mid generation recycle of the consoles with the Pro. So it kind of what I was thinking 2 weeks ago and still thinking now is that the mid cycle is 3 years. So my thinking is that in the next 3 years that's when the next console's coming out. Mm-hmm. I think technology is moving so fast that I think it has to kind of go that quickly. I mean, you look at phones, like those phones are going quick. You're looking at the consoles that like a 3 year mid-cycle refresh of consoles. That's pretty quick. That's quite a quick kind of turnover with that. So I think technology is moving so fast. I think that they're desperately trying to move with it, and it seems to start being more and more about what powers under the hood rather than the games. The main chat is we've got this teraflops. Like, none of us knew what the hell a teraflop was like a year ago, 2 years ago, before E3, before they mentioned it on the Microsoft.
At least not console gamers. Anyway, console gamers didn't know nothing about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've built a couple of PCs, and it's one of the many things that makes a graphics card awesome. Mm-hmm. But it just seems to be a bit of a buzzword. And I think the whole power thing with the PlayStation 4 slightly being more powerful than the Xbox One, I think that's kind of rooted in people's minds, and the whole fanboy thing kind of comes back and forth with that as well. And I think they're trying to one up each other slightly all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the community's fault. That whole power thing, it created two things. It created bullies and victims. That whole power thing. That's what it did. It made all the hardcore Xbox fanboys into victims. You know what I'm saying? And then it made a lot of the hardcore Sony fanboys into bullies. That's all that power thing did. But we're kind of like thankfully getting away from that. Looks like this year a little bit. It rears its ugly head every now and then, but it seems to be getting away from that a little bit. It's really been lately for me what I see out here in these streets more about the games overall lately. Which is definitely what I want.
I think also the Switch as well. I think people are looking at more about the actual hardware. Good man. Like the difference in it being handheld, because we know about the power, and everyone's said about the power, but everyone's gone, yeah, but I can take it with me, and I can play Zelda on it. So I think people are starting to kind of lose that stigma slightly with it. But I still think with Xbox and PlayStation, I still think it's quite a stigma with them because of how it was at the start of this generation.
Yeah.
Well, in fairness, I would say that applies to every time there's a new console iteration. So I While I wish that stigma would just disappear, because I agree. I don't think power is everything, but
It's definitely not everything.
Saying that though, we had the what they call the bit wars as well. So we had like the 16-bit in there and stuff. So it's always kind of been slightly there.
Yeah. It has, you're right, and it will always be slightly there. But you know, we always, like you said, power isn't everything. So we just got to remember, you know, gameplay is, you know, definitely trumps power. I mean, power is important, but if you don't have the gameplay, you know, all the things that make a game fun, your game can look pretty. All it wants is there's no point to it, you know. So you just gotta kind of have a healthy balance. That's all. Because I mean, I like nice graphics. I'm not gonna lie. I like nice graphics and I like a smooth frame rate. So you know, I'm not gonna lie. It takes power to do that. So definitely. So let's move on. Speaking of power, let's talk about the game of the hour, ladies and gentlemen. And it is Horizon Zero Dawn. We're going to give our final thoughts this episode, and we're never, ever going to talk about this game again because we've been talking about it quite a bit. But you have to understand, though, this is the premier PlayStation exclusive right now, so we got to definitely touch on this game. I played it. You know what I'm saying? I put a couple hours into it. And who else played? Kev, you played it too? Who's that played? Chris. Chris is playing it. Chris is playing it. Okay, so me and Chris, we played it. And so, Chris, what are your thoughts now that you've got your hands dig deep in this game? What are your thoughts on it?
It's everything I wanted. It's kind of a greatest hits of some of my favorite games. So for me, that, you know, it kind of ticks all the boxes. I like, actually, no, I'm going to say I love Aloy. But not in a kind of gimpy, I'm in love with her sort of way. I think she's a fantastic main character. I quite like some of the supporting characters as well. Some I can mention and some I can't mention because it's kind of leading deep into the story. Yeah. I can't quite remember everybody's name, but you
got the war chief. I've met her and her son.
Yeah, she's pretty kick-ass. And then obviously like the guy who was like her dad as well. Oh God, it's bad, isn't it? I've lost all names. I'm getting old, man. I can't remember names.
I remember who you're talking about though. His name is Roth, or damn it, what's his name? It starts with an R. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to say Rust, but it's not Rust. Is it Rust?
Nah, the man's name's not Rust.
Man, I'm getting old, man. I can't remember people's names. It's bad.
It's because Aloy is the freaking centerpiece, man. That's all you're really thinking about.
Yeah, exactly. I hear people calling her Alloy, and I don't know what else they call her, but I've heard many different versions of her name. So if they can't get the first name right, at least I can get the main character's name right.
Right.
So the game's it's got lovely mechanics. It looks absolutely stunning. I'm playing on a Pro with a 4K, and it looks amazing. But I've got a good friend of mine who's got it on the normal PlayStation, and it just looks amazing on that. And the Decima engine is doing unbelievable things.
It is.
And it should be highly praised. Those crazy Dutch, they've done it.
They've done it again.
They've done it. They've done very well with it. So very impressed.
Yo, I definitely agree with you when it comes to. Oh, you got some feedback.
Oh,
I hear the feedback. So I definitely agree with you when you are talking about as far as how the game looks. So for those of you who are just joining, we are talking about Horizon Zero Dawn once again because we actually got our hands in it. So we want to give our thoughts on it. But graphically, I knew it would be on point, but it basically is blowing me away as far as the graphics, as far as the details. Everything they said was true as far as the open world, how detailed it is. It's really no compromise as far as the performance, being that this game is just, magnificently put together. It's really a feat, and definitely I had confidence in Guerrilla because they do make good games technically. My only concerns, like I said before, were the story, possibly the story, and how full the open world would be, like how engaged I would actually be in the world. And they did really well with that too. I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm not getting bored. What I do like also is the creature AI, the AI for the robots. They are so detailed.
That's awesome.
Dog, they are so
Awesome.
detailed. They are so like just vicious. Like every single thing in this world wants to kill you. Like I thought there was gonna be like passive robotic dinosaurs or whatever. I thought they're gonna be some passive ones, but no, even the ones you think are passive, they want to kill you. But they're extremely aggressive. They all have different move sets. I haven't come across one that acts the same, like reacts to me the same and attacks me in the same pattern. I haven't even come across one yet, and I put about 6 hours or so in the game so far, and that's pretty impressive, honestly. And it's just good to see a game when they say it's going to be something and actually turns out to be something. Like they said, like if you can see something in the distance, you'll be able to go there. Not to pick on anybody's favorite game or anything, but I remember a little game called Destiny. They said the exact same crap. And when I got the game, I tried it and it didn't work. And I was so freaking disappointed. So it's good to see, a developer create a game and they advertise it and you get it as advertised. Like, I feel like you get your money's worth when it comes to Horizon. One thing I don't like about the game so far is the human AI. The human AI is dumb as all hell, breaking loose on a hot summer day and dragging your ass down in the lake of mother freaking fire. Because the human AI, I was playing one scene and it was supposed to be us against them. It turned out being me against a whole army because my human AI colleagues, they just sat there. They sat in stealth position like they were ready to strike, and the battle took off and they would not move. And I had to do the whole battle myself. And then also the enemy human AI, they're basically dumb as hell too, because all you gotta do is just hide in the bushes, whistle, they come over, they just kind of, oh, what was that? And they just walk over and you just kill them. Like, it could have been a little more intelligent than that. Maybe Uncharted 4 AI intelligence I would like to have seen in this game. But other than that, everything else I have no problems with at all with Horizon. So definitely a great game. Glad we're getting great games now. A lot of high scoring games we're getting as far as, reviews and everything. So yeah, if you haven't gotten Horizon, I definitely recommend it. It's a PS4 exclusive, so you guys need to check it out. You know what I'm saying? Anything else about Horizon before we close this chapter in our lives?
Massive thank you to the chat. It's Rost. So I think that's how you pronounce it. Rost. Rost is the name of the dad character.
Thank you. We are so dumb. I'm just like thinking about, Aloy and what's going on with her. I don't really pay attention to these other characters. I mean, even though
you and them redheads, you and those redheads.
No, what can I say, bro? What can I say, man? It's a thing. I'm sorry, I have to admit, it's a freaking thing. So I can't help it. Triss on The Witcher, now Aloy on Horizon. Yeah, I'm all about them reds. You heard me.
Triss is so upset. I spoke to her the other week and she's so upset.
Oh, you see, you're a dirtbag. You're one of those guys that no one likes, making bad decisions.
In the friend zone.
You're totally in the friend zone with her. Yeah, you suck.
Have you also seen, there's a video going around where it's got the voice actor of Geralt is one of the villagers.
Wait. I did not see this video, but I heard about it. Yeah, someone told me that he is in there. Yeah, I still have not come across it.
I'll tag you in it, man. I'll tag you in it.
Okay, that's dope. That's dope, man. So let's move on. You know what I'm saying? I want to hear my man Kev head up this Switch and Zelda conversation. That's next up on the list for you guys. So as you know, the glorious Nintendo Switch that everybody has been waiting for, like they ain't had nothing to play in years, has arrived. And so a lot of people are out here, they're giving it praise. Some people saying it sucks. Some people are regretting their purchases for this thing. And the reviews for Zelda came out, and not gonna lie, those reviews are through the freaking roof. Freaking 98 last time I checked on Metacritic. So Zelda's doing very, very well for herself. Definitely a great looking game as well. So Kev's got hands on with both of these. So what are your thoughts and impressions? And no Nintendo fanboy stuff, sir.
Well, I'm not a Nintendo fanboy. I've plenty to criticize Nintendo for.
Okay, good. That's all I like to hear.
But,
That's all I like to hear.
Hang on, aren't we all Nintendo fanboys?
Hell
We're all
no.
Come on, that was the console of our generation, man.
I used to be. I used to be when they actually gave me what I freaking wanted in life. I used to be. And I dropped them like a bad habit. One thing about me, man, I don't have no loyalty to no freaking consoles or nothing. I don't treat these consoles like they're sports teams or their wives or husbands like some people do out here. If you're not giving me what I want and what I need in life, you gotta go. Sorry, go ahead.
Brutal, absolutely brutal.
That's how I treat everybody, even these consoles. Everybody gets treated that way. No discrimination.
Say for the Switch it is a slick piece of hardware. It's got a very premium feel to it, as opposed to its predecessors. I like it a lot. I think it's playing it in its different functions. Most of them feel good. I don't like playing with the one Joy-Con. I think that's nonsense. Nobody should ever have to be forced to play that way. That's a terrible time. But other than that, sliding the Joy-Cons into the grip to play as a full controller, or having them individually in your hands and just have your hands freeform. Handheld mode is extremely convenient, and I like it a lot. I will say the kickstand on the back of the Switch definitely feels like that thing is going to snap off.
Oh, damn.
So
yeah, that looks dodgy. Dodgy.
It's just like a piece of plastic.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Why they put that freaking cheap crap on the back like that? Like, it needs to be reliable. It needs to sit up. This is a freaking mobile device. Why it gotta be like cheap? Why they gotta use cheap parts for that crap? Silly, man.
Other than that, yeah, it's really good. It's switching in between handheld mode and docking it is pretty seamless. There's like a 2 or 3 second delay sometimes, but other than that, it's pretty seamless. I did have some left Joy-Con latency issues in the beginning.
Oh, did they patch that or something? I heard about that too.
So I don't know whether it was in the patch or because I moved the Switch. So they recommend not putting the Switch behind the TV because that may block the signal. So that is why the left Joy-Con was having connectivity issues. So I moved it to the side, but as I was moving it to the side, I was actually downloading the update. So I can't verify whether it was the update that fixed it or if it was because I moved the Switch.
So you got to basically cater to this thing and make it, happy in your house. Like, you got to move your life around for it, huh? Interesting.
I mean, not really. I moved it the one time, and I only had the latency issue a few times when I was in the Nintendo eShop. After I moved it was perfectly fine. Didn't have any other issues like that. And I haven't had an issue with the battery life.
I heard the battery life really, really good on the Joy-Cons or something. I heard it's really good.
Yeah, the Joy-Cons have a 20-hour battery life.
Oh, nice. That's already killing PS4.
The Switch itself has it's a 3 to 6 hour, depending on what you're playing. If you're playing Zelda, estimate about 3 hours of battery life.
Nice.
Like how you have your brightness and all that other nonsense.
So a score of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. Of course, what do you rate the actual hardware?
A 6.
The Switch gets a 6.
And I say 6 because while the hardware itself is solid, I mean, other than that flimsy kickstand, like, I see nothing wrong with the hardware. I've had, other than that one latency issue, no issues with it. reports from various folks saying like they've had cracked screens because of putting it in and out of the dock. But also, I would want to know how they're placing it in the dock, because if you're slamming that thing into the dock, put yourself. But like,
wow,
outside of that, there have been people complaining about different hardware functionalities. So that is something to note. Also note that it's a new hardware iteration, so there are bound to be little errors here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely did not release a full console. They definitely didn't. And I was talking, I don't know who I was talking to earlier about this, maybe it was you guys, but basically they do this type of stuff, like Nintendo, not just Nintendo, but publishers in general. They do this type of stuff because they know the public is going to buy it anyway. Like, people can complain all they want or whatever, but if you're still putting money into this stuff, if you're buying stuff day one, you know what I'm saying, stuff that's not, like worth your money or worth the consumer's money. If you're buying stuff day one like that, publishers are going to continue to do this. You know what I'm saying? Nintendo knew very well that they could put out this console half-assed and people still were going to buy it. They knew very well they could do that.
Right. And again, if you go in knowing what you're getting, like I knew in going, I knew what I was getting into when I bought it, that it wasn't going to have a huge amount of games. The only game I really cared about was Zelda, and I don't have a Wii U. And then, in terms of the functionalities, in terms of like having a recorder in the console, it doesn't have that. You can't watch Netflix, anything like that on it. Those are things you need to know going in.
Oh my god.
And if you did the research, you could find it and make an informed decision that way. So like, I'm not upset because
I get it.
That's what I was getting, but I can understand why if people didn't see that and I'm gonna have chat support, because every console since the original Xbox has had some form of online chat capability. I could see why somebody would be upset. But that's partly why I give it a 6 out of 10. There's a lot going for it.
Mm-hmm.
This console is clearly undercooked.
Yeah.
They had to rush it. I don't know why, and I have a feeling it's because of investor influence. But I can neither.
Yeah, you can't confirm that, but yeah, I mean, it was probably between that and knowing that they have a short window this year to actually release this thing into the wild, because they have the other consoles, the giants in the game, such as Xbox, releasing the Scorpio at the end of this year alone. So you want to get way ahead of something like that, so.
Yeah, there's that, and like I've heard rumors that Zelda's been done for months, and that's part of the reason why they needed to push the Switch out now, because Zelda has literally just been sitting there.
That makes sense.
So it's little things like that. Again, like I said, chat functionality. In order to, when friends lists go completely live, to like go into a party chat, you're gonna have to do that through an app on your phone. Like weird things that should not happen.
Wow.
Like really weird things that should not happen are happening with this console. So ever get to that point where this is like the end all be all console, or like the greatest console Nintendo's ever made, like I don't think it's going to get to that, because there's so many things that it should have at this point.
Yeah.
That other consoles that are 10, 15 years older than it have. It's so that's why I give it a 6.
Yeah, your 6 is fair. I've seen 6, 7s pretty much as far as the hardware is concerned. And I'm gonna say this. Everybody listening at the sound of my voice, that every console this gen so far, they've come up short to some extent during the launch. For example, the PS4, it didn't have many things that we're going to be getting in this 4.5 update soon that were actually on the PS3. We had many things, such as you couldn't do, custom wallpapers and things like that you could do on PS3. So I get it. Not to say that Nintendo's the only one, but this Switch is so bare bones and so behind the times to the point where I feel like, yeah, they definitely rushed it out, one, and they knew they could get away with this because they knew the consumers were going to buy it anyway. And see, that's the problem that I have with the community at large, is because everybody wants to buy up everything day one, no matter what. And you don't understand that it does have ramifications for the rest of us. Like, people are always like, well, you don't need to be worried about what I'm buying and what's be in my pocket and all this other stuff. Well, if you keep doing dumb ass stuff, you know what I'm saying, it affects all of us, because all these other publishers are taking notice to the money other publishers are making without having so much effort. You know what I'm saying? So they see that, and then they follow suit, and it's just a vicious cycle. And it becomes hard for us as consumers to get quality products. You know what I'm saying? When you have this type of stuff going on all the time. So that's my problem with it. Not to say stuff is perfect, because I bought a PS4 day one, but main reason why I bought a PS4 day one is because that last generation lasted so freaking long, and the game started becoming dry as hell that we were almost forced into going into the next generation. For the Switch, I don't feel like anyone is forced. I get that some of you want to play these new IPs, not new IPs, but because Nintendo doesn't have new IPs, let's face it. But I knew some of you wanted to play Zelda and stuff like that. I get that. Have fun. That's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's your money. Do whatever you want. But at some point, we as a community got to make a statement and say, look, no matter what you got, if it's not worth my money, I don't want it, fam. You know what I'm saying? So this is my spiel on that whole deal. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And I will say, I mean, for time's sake, that's a whole nother conversation. I think there's something to be said for that, but that's, I'll save that one for another time. But I'll note about the hardware. Again, I think going into portable mode, handheld mode, that is so amazing. Like, I was sitting on my couch playing Zelda for a few hours, and I was like, it's getting pretty late. I should probably go to bed. And then I was like, but wait, I can just take this to bed with me. Yeah. So then I stayed another 3 hours in my bed, playing Zelda, and it was perfectly fine.
It definitely has its pros, though. That mobile, they got something with that. They definitely got something with that.
And then point two, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Nintendo just coated the cartridges with some non-toxic, I guess, chemical, for lack of a better term. And if you lick it, it's really bitter, absurdly bitter.
Did you lick it, sir? Are you over there?
I did not. I had my brother do it.
He took his Switch to bed and he licked his cartridges, didn't he? That's what he was doing.
Yo, I said I have no friends.
Wait a minute. Are y'all Nintendo guys getting high off of these cartridges, man?
Well, it's meant to be a deterrent for kids to not swallow the cartridge, because the cartridge is absurdly small.
It's
about the size of an SD card, maybe a little thinner than a regular SD card, but it's about the same height.
I wonder what the ratio is of these things breaking and being lost.
Well, I would want to know what caused Nintendo to go down this route. How many kids actually went and got a 3DS cartridge and was like, this looks like something to eat. I wonder how many of them actually choked for them to think about, maybe we should go down this route to prevent children from.
Wow.
It must have been a lot, though. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things I would think straight away that I must do with my game cartridge. Do you know what I mean? Like as a company rather than as a person.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do think it probably happened one too many times, and they were like, let's nip this in the bud for the next one. But yeah, it's really strange. I haven't tried it. I had my brother try it, and the face he made. So that's just a fun fact for you. And there are videos on YouTube. I'm sure if you type in licking Nintendo Switch cartridge, you'll find
I seen
that come up.
I've seen just on my feed because I'm subscribed to some people out here, and I've seen some videos. I didn't look at the videos or whatever because I think it's stupid, so I didn't even bother. But I did hear about it. Interesting. So let's move on. It was still on the Nintendo side of things, but I want to propose a question to you guys in the chat tonight, because despite its problems or whatever, the Switch is definitely a hot piece of hardware out here as far as what people want. Is definitely selling well and doing well thus far. And I do see that there is potential in this thing, to grow even further once they put all the components together, make this thing whole, like Voltron. I do see it being definitely a giant out here, a potential giant. So being that the PlayStation 4, Sony's PlayStation 4 is the king of consoles right now, and pretty much in a league of their own when it comes to games, hardware, and software sales. Do you guys think that Sony should kind of be looking to the left and the right and kind of seeing what Nintendo's doing and kind of being like, man, these guys may actually be a viable competitor for us? Do you guys think they should start looking at them like that, or do you think they've been looking at them like that? What are y'all thoughts? Let's go with Chris. I ain't heard from my man Chris in a minute. He's been handling his mic business. What do you think about this?
I think they should. I think they should, and I think they have done. I think by doing the patent that we were speaking about 2 weeks ago, I think they kind of have had a little look at what they were doing and thinking about maybe the same sort of thing. We had this conversation 2 weeks ago, so I'm not going to go into it again. But I think they should. I think they're getting a lot of love, Nintendo, at the moment, especially from the community. But also a lot of people, it's kind of everybody's second favorite console. And a lot of like journalists are really digging it. So it's getting a lot of praise for it, but bizarrely low scores for reviews, which is very strange. But I think it can only get better. And I think they'll kind of get rid of some of the kinks, and I think you'll find probably a little bit like PlayStation VR, that the generation 2 of it will be a much better proposition. But I like the look of it. I think it's a decent console, and I think Sony are looking at it and saying, yeah, I like what you've done there. And I think the popularity of it being a handheld is something that they're definitely looking at. And I think I don't know, they might try and resurrect a Vita or something like that to try and counter it. But I think that portability they're looking at and thinking that's a big market for them.
It definitely is. And in my opinion, my humble, y'all often correct opinion, they should not revisit the Vita or anything like that. But here's another question for you, Chris, real quick. So besides trying to capitalize on the mobile side of things, because that don't seem to work for Sony, in my opinion, at least this generation, what else can they do to kind of like knock some steam off of the Nintendo hype train? Like what could they possibly do?
I don't know. I think if they're going to try and do it, I think they might do the PS5. I don't know. I think they should. I think they should almost kind of sit back and let them have it. They, as you were saying, they're the king of the castle at the moment, so they can kind of afford to be.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You can have your moment in the sun, but they're still the top dogs of this generation. But I look at Nintendo and what they do is like everybody's kind of favorite uncle. They can do crazy stuff and they can dance badly and so on. And I think people will just they're like, oh, they're so lovable. And and I think that's the same with kind of Sony and Microsoft as well with them as well. They're kind of on their own. So I don't think Sony need to worry about them too much.
Yeah, Nintendo is that uncle that can literally steal from you, smack your kids, piss on you, and you're still gonna look at him and like, oh, that's just crazy, Uncle Fred. He's all right. He's lovable. He's good.
Is that part of 1-2 Switch?
That's
Is that game part of 1-2 Switch where you slap around kids and steal money? Is that part of the?
I don't know what kind of uncle you have that's going around and pissing on people. Do not come near me.
Just say Uncle Fred, he can do no wrong. You know, that's what Nintendo is for, you know, the community. I think, you know, Nintendo, it has a special place in people's hearts, you know, and that's the reason why they can kind of like turn a blind eye, you know, when, you know, PlayStation 4 and Microsoft, they're under the microscope. Like whatever they do, right or wrong, you're going to hear about it. You know what I'm saying? Especially the wrong. It's the slightest little wrong thing you're going to hear about it. Like you got a lot of people in the community that will just wait for one or the other to kind of mess up a little bit so they can just throw it out there. You know, it could be a million things they're doing right, but the one little mess up thing, that's the thing that everybody seems to highlight when it comes to Sony and Microsoft. But for Nintendo could have one or two good little things that's going to get highlighted, and all the other bad stuff no one talks about. They kind of just overlook it. They kind of like, oh, well, it's okay. Oh, well, I'm fine with that. It doesn't matter. Zelda, Mario, you know, those two good things, but let's ignore the 20 bad things, right? So that's what Nintendo gets from the community at large, honestly. And if you disagree with that, I got two words for you. It's okay. Okay.
Can I just jump in with the whole kind of mobile thing? I recently fanboyed out and got myself a Sony mobile, partly because I can Bluetooth my DualShock controller to it, and it's really good. Like I was playing some of the games on my phone with the DualShock, and it is really decent. And I can also stream from my phone. From my PlayStation 4 to my phone, so I was playing my PlayStation 4 downstairs when when it's upstairs. It's okay, it's pretty good. It works through the internet, so if your Wi-Fi is pretty decent, which I don't know if mine is because I'm getting loads of feedback tonight. It seemed to be good, so maybe they might try the mobile thing. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I got you. So Kev, do you think that Sony should actually see Nintendo as a competitor, or do you think they already see him as a competitor? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, they should always see them as a competitor in the space. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why when they launched the Switch, both Microsoft and Sony came out and congratulated Nintendo. It's clear that, at least to me, they see them as an equal in the space, maybe not necessarily in terms of direct competition. The last several console iterations have gone. Always see them as a competitor, and I think Sony should especially see them as a competitor in the portable space. I mean, minus the lackluster game lineup that there is currently. I mean, obviously that'll grow as time goes on, but
right.
If you assume they have a fairly decent game lineup, there's almost no reason to go buy a Vita, right? At least to me, there's no reason.
There really is no reason.
Sony's not supported in the way that they should, and it's clear that Nintendo is showing that, or lack of a better game right now, you put a Zelda on there. And show the capability of what this console can do versus what the Vita attempted to do with games like Uncharted Golden Abyss and things like they don't compare. You can't compare the two.
Right.
It's just Zelda is superior
in every way.
In every single way. To the promises of the Vita. So wants to stay in that handheld market, then they should absolutely see a competitor. Otherwise, they're doing themselves a disservice.
I agree. They should keep their eye on them. I don't think necessarily they need to consider them on the same level, or like they don't need to even right now. They don't need to consider them like their closest competitor like Microsoft or anything like that. They, keep an eye on them, see what they do, see if it's different than what history has repeated itself in the past, and, definitely watch them. And if they do, grow and get into their own and really become a competitor, then they could be like, okay, yeah, we need to, start throwing some shots Nintendo's way or something. But right now, I say just keep an eye on them. I don't see Nintendo being a, strong competitor to Sony by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to, the PlayStation brand. I really don't.
Well, yeah, and I think that's partly because they're taking completely different audiences.
True.
I don't think the marketing audience is
True.
remotely the same, especially with the Wii and the Wii U. I think that has fractured what Nintendo's core audience is to such a degree.
Yeah.
That, that's exactly why Nintendo and see Nintendo on the same level as they see each other. We talk about the quote-unquote console war. Would people leave Nintendo out of the equation at this point? Because it's very much like what Chris said. Let's say you are a PlayStation fan. You get the PlayStation, and then, as your secondary console, you get the Nintendo console. You get an Xbox, then you're getting the Nintendo as a secondary console.
Right.
And that's just the nature of how third-party development has worked out for Sony and Microsoft versus and how the first party games also react. They're certainly not. You can't put Nintendo on the same parallel as Sony or Microsoft, but
definitely not.
Like I think, said, I think you should still look at them as a competitor specifically because of that the portable market.
I think they are the king of portables at the moment, and I think Sony are the king of consoles. So I think of like home consoles. So I think the Switch makes absolute logical sense, where they want to obviously kind of keep the home console market, kind of dip their toes in it, keep it warm, but the big selling point of the Switch is the portability of it, and I think that makes perfect sense for the evolution from like the DSs and so on to kind of merge the two. Almost, but keep it so it's a very strong portable because they are the kings of portable gaming.
Well, that's interesting only because, I agree with that statement, but I find it in that statement also interesting because Nintendo doesn't see it that way. They see the Switch as a home console first. I believe Reggie, America, said something to that effect.
When home console asked, first.
That surprises me. That really surprises me because
I agree with you. I think and I think it's partly because they also don't want to sit there and say, well, we're discontinuing the 3DS right now, because they're not. They still have games coming out for it. I mean, it's going to be trickling down now, but they still have stuff coming out for the 3DS, which I think is insane.
I guess it's the kind of argument with like having a PlayStation Pro or PlayStation 5. It's that sort of thing that the fan base is so big for like the 3DS that they don't particularly want to annoy that fan base. And it's the same thing with the PS4, I guess, as well, that Sony are like, we're bringing out these other consoles, but we still love you guys with the PS4. Like you could tell by the Pro announcement, it kind of felt like they were almost a little bit embarrassed by announcing it. Like they obviously weren't embarrassed of the tech, but they were embarrassed. They were a bit like, yeah, there's this thing coming out, and if you want to get it, that would be great because it does like 4K checkerboard and stuff like that. But the PS4 is still number one,
right?
And I think they're Nintendo are in the same kind of boat with that as well. They don't want people who have 3DSs to get annoyed by the Switch.
Yeah, they don't want to alienate them at all because that's a huge.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's I agree. I think that's one part of it, and I do think the other part of it is, I mean, they already had games in the works. I mean, you can't just disrupt the dev cycle, but the amount of time and resources that they put into it, like I think they have a Fire Emblem game coming out on the 3DS. So, you know, I'm sure that's been in the works for a while. So those are slowly going to be trickling out. But I also agree. I do think it's them not wanting to ruffle feathers with their fan base as well.
Yeah, definitely. So right now, the talk of the town is definitely PlayStation 4. You know, the wonderful games we got out here. You know, these beautiful exclusives we got out here right now, and then also, you know, Switch. You know, so the only person left is that awkward stepbrother that don't say much. You know what I'm saying? That one that just be keeping to himself and stuff is you know, good old Microsoft. We gotta see what they're gonna bring to the table this year, besides the, you know, Scorpio. So, you know, that's a whole different conversation for a whole different podcast. But, you know, right now, at least Nintendo is definitely showing its face out there, showing you what it has / don't have, you know, and it's definitely giving, you know, gamers, you know, some options, even though they may be extremely bare bones and limited. But, you know, at least we know what we got with Nintendo. So I'm interested to see, you know, what Microsoft is going to bring into the equation in this arms race that we call the console war, ladies and gentlemen. But so, any other thoughts on Nintendo in relation to PlayStation at all, fellas, before we move on? Any thoughts in the chat? Any questions at all in the chat? Let us know. We will answer before we get off, but let us know.
I think that it's really healthy that they've got this coming out. I think competition is always healthy. So I'm pleased. I'm pleased for Nintendo, and I'm pleased that it's coming out. I think it's good for PlayStation to look over their shoulder.
Yeah,
needs to happen.
Yeah, you don't want to get them too cocky. Yeah, because it never works out that way when a publisher is just you know, has no real competition. So definitely competition is a great thing. I'm hoping, you know, Nintendo does great, even though I have no faith in them whatsoever. But I'm definitely I got more faith in Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping they bring big things this year for Xbox and stuff, and that's going to make Sony really open their eyes and be like, oh crap, we need to do some different things.
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing to note. I mean, having the console war, not from the fanboy side, but having a healthy competition, healthy market for new ideas is the way to go. That only strengthens the industry as a whole. Right. Going into like this crazy rabbit hole of, you know, being blind to the faults of whatever platform that you hold your allegiance to does nothing but degrade not only the allegiance that you have, but the organization, the feedback that they need to make the content better for you.
Right.
So, you know, at the end of the day, yeah, absolutely, competition is the best thing possible. It makes the world a better place for
we, the consumer.
Yep.
Alan Wake in the chat. I think it's the Alan Wake, as in the writer. I hope it is. I hope he's still looking for his wife. He asked the question, what do you guys think? Has Sony played all of its cards with the VR and the Pro out? Have they
cards?
Play all their cards? Have they got anything left to bring?
I'll answer. What he's getting at. Okay, did they play all their cards? I'll answer that first. I don't think necessarily. I think as far as hardware, definitely they played all their cards. You're not going to see any more like surprises when it comes to hardware. When it comes to software, like games, I think they do still got a couple of surprises up their sleeve. You know, the list that they released, like, you know, last year and stuff of the games that's coming, you know, 2017, 2018 and beyond. I think, you know, for the most part, we know what's coming and we can be excited for that. You know what I'm saying? But I think they have a couple of, you know, surprises. I think we'll get at least one or two surprises at E3. I mean, honestly, when you look at the history of PlayStation, you know, especially, I mean, you can go further if you want, but let's keep it in this generation. Every year they have a couple of surprises, you know, every year at E3, whether it's an announcement or something when it comes to games. They always do. So I'm expecting the same thing this year as well. And what else? What else? I had something else I wanted to say regarding that. Brain fart. Come on out. Come on out.
Come on, Nick. I'm willing you on. Come on.
I don't remember. It's all right. It couldn't have been super important, but you know, I definitely think they still got some stuff coming. Oh yeah, that's what the other thing I was to say. Also keep in mind when it comes to PlayStation, you know, the third, fourth year, that's when they really start amping things up, and you know, you start getting what you're getting right now, just game after game after game. So I don't expect that to slow down until maybe the end of this generation. So I think there's a lot more to come in the world of PlayStation, a lot more fun things that's going to keep them competitive. And, you know, the things they got to work on, though, is just those features. You know what I'm saying? They got to work on those features, you know, not to say that I'm dying out here for features, but they got to make the console as a whole a little more complete, you know. But other than that, from the game side, I think it's going to be great. So,
yeah,
good question. Good question.
I agree with that. I think the biggest thing that they do need to focus on are features. I mean, I would like them to also, you know, hardware, customizable hardware in terms of like different controller colors, but all that is like not important. But I do think the biggest thing for them right now is to focus on the features that the console has. I think that if anything, that is their biggest weakness right now. And you know, backwards compatibility on the Xbox, for example, game changer for the Xbox community, and to have something akin to that, not a paid service on PlayStation, would be amazing. But again, there are a multitude of other features as well that could be implemented. That you know,
I think the
base.
I think the 4.5 update is a step in the right direction.
Agreed.
Yeah, 3 years too late. Not playing. I mean, it's definitely a step in the right direction, but it shouldn't have took them freaking 3-4 years to, you know, get to that point, in my opinion. And then speaking of the freaking backwards compatibility, you know, we'll talk about this in detail more on another show probably, but that shout out to that Xbox Game Pass though. Shout out to that. You know what I'm saying? That looks like a great idea. That looks like what, you know, I would have liked personally PS Now to be, you know what I'm saying? So definitely shout out to that. It's gonna be basically, they're saying it's gonna be like, you know, Netflix for games, and you won't have to stream it, which this is what I like about it. You won't have to stream it, you actually get to download the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've read, you get to download the game. So that's gonna be cool. That's definitely gonna be cool.
I wasn't convinced by it, but after watching Phil Spencer on Unlocked, he really sold me for it. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like, and interesting to see the sort of games that they bring to it.
Right. So let's see. Good question, definitely. All right, so last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, really quick, we would be doing a disservice if we did not tell you guys about the PlayStation Plus games that actually released today. You know what I'm saying? So I want to run down this list in case you guys are interested in any of these games at all. So we got Disc Jam for the PS4. We got Tearaway Unfolded for the PS4. A game called Under Night in Birth for the PS3. Earth Defense Force, the 20th freaking game of that game on PS3. Lumo for PS Vita and Crossbuy PS4. And then Severed on the PS Vita. So anybody picking up any of these games, I mean, they're free for gold. I mean, not gold, but plus members. Any of you guys downloading any of these games? Any of these worth the download in your opinion? Oh, anybody?
I think I'm going to. I'll probably always download the PlayStation 4 games. At least I almost never play them on the time that I download them, but I end up downloading them so that, you know, down the line when there's like a drought or something like that in terms of games, I can always hop into one of those.
Right. I think this Disc Jam, I might download that, but that's the type of game looks like it's only gonna be fun with friends. And you know, as we've stated before, we ain't got no friends, man. So you know, that might be a bit of a challenge. But it looks interesting. And Tearaway Unfolded, no, absolutely not. And the rest of these games, no. Please stop it. Stop it with these crap games. But other than just jam halfway,
Nick, most of them are indies. Come on, man. I thought you were the king of these bad boys.
I'm the king of indies, but every kingdom has its scum of the earth, sir. And
it's jokers in the pack.
I ain't feeling a lot of indies. Let me just say this. I'm not feeling them. So, you know, the PlayStation Plus, you know, lineup of games or whatever, I don't ever really complain about them because honestly, I have too much to play as it is. So I really never complain about them. You know, you go to the PlayStation YouTube channel and it's got like 1 million dislikes on all these videos all the time. So I'm not sitting here complaining about them necessarily, but I gotta call a spade when I see something is, you know, trash in my opinion or not worth my time. In my opinion, I'm just gonna speak on it. None of these games really, you know, made me be like, oh, none of these games make me even want to really download them and save them for later. Just put it to you like that. So more power to you if you guys, you know, like these games. Chris, you picking up any of these?
I've picked up Disc Jam already, as I mentioned at the start of the show.
Okay.
And Tearaway is not really my cup of tea. It's meant to be pretty decent on the Vita, but just because you can use the kind of features of the Vita, and I think you probably can for the PS4 using the DualShock. But yeah, I mean, it's another month, isn't it? Really, I mean, I'll give them a go, but I'm not that excited by them.
Okay, I might actually get this jam since you got it. I'm gonna go ahead and download that one. Kev, you should download it too if you can ever get your you know, eyes away from that damn Switch and Zelda. We can actually try to play, you know, a little disc jam here and there. You know what I'm saying? In between Horizon, in between Zelda, in between NieR Automata, in between for me The Witcher 3. We got to make time, I guess, to play some multiplayer games.
It's you should give it a go because I think you can do doubles as well. So I think that might be quite good fun to line up with a mate.
Okay.
I'll play it with you if you want.
Yeah, play with me because my
do the training first though, man, because you learn all the tricks and the different trick shots you can do and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
I'm gonna try it out. Honestly, after this, I'm gonna download it. But like a lot of my friends or whatever, bro, they're pretty stuck up. Like I got, you know, people who I game with. I don't necessarily even game with them. More like get in a party chat, talk while we game about stuff. But we don't really play a lot of the same things because a lot of my friends, they're kind of like stuck up. Like a game like this, they wouldn't even bat an eye at. Like, you know, I like a lot of the games that are abstract and weird, and they be like, nigga, like, dude, what the hell are you playing that type of game for? And I'm like, it's fun. You should try it. And they like, you playing as animals. That's not fun. And I'm like, look, fam, sometimes playing with animals in a video game is fun, okay? Sometimes talking animals is the best pleasure you can have in a video game, okay? So I'm sorry. That's just me.
The Black Tiger.
Unless it's freaking Life of the Black Tiger, the bane of PlayStation's existence right now. Just say no sometimes, PlayStation. Gosh. Oh, man. But I think we have had a fun time, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's about that time for us to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. This man, Cal, said, I'll play anything. Oh, okay. Boy. Oh, that's what he said. He corrected himself. Cal, stop it. Cal said he'll play anything on Xbox. Anything on Xbox, he'll play it. Stop right now, sir. What are you playing? What are you playing right now on Xbox, huh? There's nothing to play, sir. Like, really, what are you playing? I'm just playing. I'm gonna get fired. But we about to bounce. We about to bounce out of here, man. We about to bounce out of here. Let's go ahead and do our outros. You know what I'm saying? Chris, tell everybody where they can find you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure they're gonna miss your lovely, lovely accents. So let everybody know where they can find you.
Thanks, Nick, for the lovely accent comment. I've got a bit of a sore throat, so it's all a bit husky and a bit. I'm not going to say sexy. I'm not going to say it's not that for sure. But thanks, guys, for having me again. It's just great fun to be on here, and thanks for everyone that turned up on the chat, and thanks you to you both, and also thank you for your patience with my microphone problems tonight. It's been a nightmare. You guys can catch me on Twitter at StubbsyViking or my PSN, which is Stubbsy the Viking. Cheers, guys.
Peace. All right, Kev, where can the people find you, man? What's going on?
Thanks everybody for tuning in. Always great to have these discussions and talk with the chat. Having a great time. You can catch me on Twitter and on PlayStation at Dark Tagger, all one word.
Oh, and what's the make sure you guys also follow the Trophy Life Twitter as well. What's the handle for that?
TrophyLife_pod.
Okay, so make sure you guys follow TrophyLife_pod on Twitter as well to keep up to date on everything related to the podcast, and also see some crazy, outrageous gifts because my man Kev is in charge of that Twitter as well. So he's over there handling business. But this is Nickodemus, the king of indies himself. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to let you guys know we will be starting to have guests on the show. Maybe not the next episode, but soon, pretty soon, we're going to start having guests on the show. And we're going to do a little something different when it comes to guests on a lot of podcasts. No shots at any podcast, because whenever I say something about other podcasts, people think I'm taking shots. I'm not taking shots. I don't want no war. I don't want no beef, because I'll probably win. It'll be easy. But listen. Love
it.
Listen.
I was sipping on water when you said that. Almost went all over my computer.
But listen, no offense to any of the podcasts, but this podcast right here, we kind of want to have a little more of a, close setting to where everybody's voice can be heard extensively. So that's why it's three of us, and you may look at this podcast and be like, oh, it's just three people. There's a reason for that. We kind of are following suit, for one thing, behind, the Big Brother podcast, the main Tick podcast, because there's three people on there, and I just think it's just more personal. You know what I'm saying? So when we have a guest on here, that guest will actually feel like a guest. So we're only gonna have one guest per podcast whenever we have a guest, and that guest is gonna feel like a guest, and I guess he or she will be able to really give their opinions and things like that, and won't feel rushed and stuff. So be on the lookout for that. Got some people in mind, some people you will know in the community. Sony, definitely a lot of Sony guys and girls out there we want to get on the show. So be on the lookout for that. Also be on the lookout for developer interviews. We will be doing those pretty soon as well. Probably sometime in the summer we'll start hitting those up. So already in the works with that, getting some things scheduled. Some PlayStation developers, some developers that work with PlayStation, and multi-plat developers as well. So definitely be on the lookout for that as well. But other than that, just you guys, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate everybody out there. Hit that like button on your way out. Please make sure you do that, because we don't, necessarily ask for your money or anything, but we do ask for two things. We ask for your time, and we ask for you to hit that like button. So we do appreciate that. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. This has been episode 3 of the Trophy Life podcast. I'm your host, Nickodemus, the king of indies. And this has been Chris. This has been Kev. This has been PlayStation. And we out of here. Peace.
Later.
Don't say nothing bad about everybody like you normally do after the show, Chris, because I haven't hit stop yet.
I'm not saying anything. My mic's not working, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut for once.
Okay, don't talk bad about Cal like you did last week.